Hello, and welcome to this webinar on organizing your research notes. I'm Dr. Katie Kinney. I coordinate the Scribe Writing Center at Covenant's Library. And today I'll be sharing with you a couple of tips for using when you're taking notes, and then also a couple of methods you can use on how to store data as you're doing research. So to start out, what should an organized research note-taking system do? It should help you to organize your thoughts, to see patterns, to conduct an analysis. That means breaking apart of the information that you are gathering so that you can see the components that are making up your argument, so that you can understand what's inside of the data that you're looking at. It should keep your sources connected to the data that you have extracted from them. So this means that when it's time to cite, you're going to know exactly where you got that piece of information, and you're going to have all the information you need in order to cite it accurately and completely. And then finally, it should make your writing process a bit easier. If you already have a plan when you go in for how you're going to gather and store the information that you find, it's going to be that much easier to move forward in your research. To be a bit more efficient, a bit more confident as you enter into your research. So two major principles. The first is to always maintain a master bibliography. So for many people, this will be a word processing document, whether you're using Google Docs or Word. And what you're going to have is a bibliography that is formatted just as it would be in the final product of your research project. So that means use all of the commas and italics and periods and publishers, all of the information as you would have it formatted according to either APA or Turabian style. If you have a journal article, include the page range right there, and then the specific page of what you've extracted in your note-taking system. What this is going to do, it's going to allow you to return to those sources as need be. It's going to ensure that you have all of the bibliographic data that you need. Then my second major tip for any note-taking system you choose to use is to always record when you are using a quotation versus a paraphrase versus a comment. Just to very quickly go over what these different types of data would be. A quotation would be if you were to take another author's exact words. So whether it's just a phrase they use, or whether it's an entire sentence, if you are using the words that they had on their pages, that is a quotation. It should be in quotation marks. And you should know that these are not my words, these are their words. Now, if you have someone else's idea, so maybe you're not using the exact words, you've changed up the sentence structure, you've significantly put it in a way that is definitely your own words, but the major idea, the argument within, the bit of data contained there was not derived by you, but came from another source. This is a paraphrase, and you should also always cite paraphrases. This is part of entering scholarly dialogue and research with integrity, is recognizing the contributions of others into your own work. So always citing paraphrases. Finally, comments. A comment is when you read something and you have a response to it. When you have a yes, but, or oh, and I also can provide this amount of evidence for this argument. It is your own contribution to the argument at play. So as you're taking notes and you have a comment, record also, this is my own comment, commentary on this work, and include the source to which you are responding. Record how you are entering the scholarly dialogue. All right, so those are the two major tips for any note-taking process you use, whatever system you use. Now, I'm going to share you 3 systems you can use for storing the data as you find it. The first is using note cards. The second, we'll use a word processor. And the final, we'll use a spreadsheet, such as available through Microsoft Excel. So in each method, you will code your notes as you go. This means that you'll be attaching a label to them so that when you want to find notes connected to a certain theme or subtopic, you'll be able to navigate there quickly. So I would suggest that before you begin your research, use your prompt and your background knowledge of the topic to identify what the major themes or topics are going to be. And then perhaps underneath those, are there any subtopics? How do you expect your data to end up being analyzed? Then, as you are engaged in research, as you are reading and thinking, be mindful of additional categories that may arise and additional coding categories you may use. I think this will all make a bit more sense once we dive into one of these note-taking systems. But when I refer to coding, what I'm talking about is the label of themes or subtopics that you attach to each one of your notes. All right, so we'll begin with note cards. Note cards. Paper note card. So a major benefit, of course, is that there's no internet distraction when you are recording your notes via note card. They are easily reordered. You can shuffle them any which way you want. You can lay them out on a table and rearrange them according to mind maps. You can think both linearly, putting them in a line, or you could think more like a mind map. Maybe you're a more tactile learner, would make, clusters of thoughts here and there. It can really help you to creatively think about how to process the information that you're gathering. It is, of course, done in conjunction with the master bibliography. And the general principle is there is one idea collected per note card. So on each note card, here's an example, I would recommend that you have a brief version of the source data. Of course, the major component of that source data will be available on your master bibliography. That you are identifying what type of data collection it is. In this case, I am supposing this is a paraphrase, so I've noted that. Pardon me. And then also we've got your coding system. So I have topic, subtopic across the top here. Just some other examples here. I put my initials because it is a comment by me, dash, dash, dash. Or maybe a quotation in quotation marks. But each note card has three primary pieces of information. There's the one idea or piece of data that's being withdrawn. There's the topic, subtopic, and there's the source data. All right, so you can color code them, spread them on a table, reorder them to your heart's delight. They keep you off of the internet, and they facilitate both linear and nonlinear thinking. All right, so moving on to using a word processor to take your notes. So give me a moment. I'm going to navigate to an example. All right, so essentially what you're seeing here is the same information that I was recording on those note cards, but this time instead of inputting them into a note card, I typed them up into a Word document. One of the benefits here, of course, is that all of your notes are already typed. This may be faster for you depending on the speed and legibility of your handwriting, but it does keep you on a screen for the course of your research. And of course, with this method, you would also still be maintaining a master bibliography. This is essentially the same system as the note cards. You'll have one idea per entry with a short version of the citation data to coordinate with your master bibliography, and a system of codes of a topic, subtopic system. So one benefit of using a word processor for this sort of data collection is that it can help you to quickly move between notes that are sharing content. So if you're not familiar with the Control F function of your PC, if you have something like Word open, I'd encourage you to try it out. You can often also search PDFs depending on how they are saved, so it may be helpful in other applications too. But what you do is you'll control or hold down the control key at the bottom of your keyboard, then press F. And you'll see I had a navigation bar show up. All right, the search bar, and now I can type in for whatever I want to search for. Maybe I want to search for all of my notes that are on research skills. So I will type in that phrase. All right, so it occurs 4 times. That phrase occurs 4 times in my notes. I'm looking under the results, and I can then click, and it will take me between all of those different places. I could also perhaps search by author's name if I wanted to see all the notes I took on a particular author. So that's a pretty handy tool. You'll also see that I color-coded some of what is available here. So I just had selected the text, and up here, under my font color, I chose to make it red, just to make things more visually pop if you're a visual thinker. So Word is helpful. It has it already typed. It has some of those search capabilities. So a similar process to using the note cards. The final system I'd like to share with you today uses a spreadsheet, such as available through a program like Excel. So what this method is particularly helpful for is when you have to sort large amounts of qualitative data. So maybe you are writing a dissertation or a thesis, maybe you have a more extensive research project where you're accessing multiple scholarly sources. This can be a really helpful way to organize and then sort and filter and analyze what you have found. So the content you're seeing here is the same as what was on the note cards and the Word document. It just looks a little different. So we have our source information, what type of note we are taking, quotation, paraphrase, comment, the one idea, the content of that note, and then your topic, subtopic. In this case, I gave them an additional subtopic as an example. The column that you'll see here that is not represented in either the note card or word processor method is over here, source number and note number. Essentially, each source, so in this case each book, has been given a source number, and then each note card or note is given a separate note number. What these categories, what these columns will allow me to do is return my data to the original order in which I collected it. So let's take a look at some of the capabilities that this method gives you. We'll be using the sort and filter tools right up here. It's under the home menu on the right side. So let's start out by doing a custom sort. When you create it, it will already be sorting by source number and note number. But let's say that I've got maybe a couple of dozen notes here, maybe more, and I want to start looking at how my topics and my subtopics are breaking down between in all of my data collection. So this time I want it to sort by topic, then it will sort by subtopic. We'll add a level, then it will sort by subtopic 2. All right, so I just used add a level. So first by topic, then by subtopic, then by subtopic 2. I'll click OK, and it's going to rearrange these according to that sorting system. All right, so we can see it took all of my rows and reordered them according to my topics. All right, so then I'd also like to share with us the filter tool. If I turn the filter on, you'll see that my heading bar now has got these drop-down menus available. All right, so let's say that I only wanted to look at sources that are on research. In this case, I would unselect note-taking, click OK, and I'm only seeing my entries on research skills. So you can probably begin to imagine, if you have a large number of notes, how this might be useful to quickly zero in on different types of content. There is a further instructional video that's been created by Texas A&M's Writing Center that I'll be linking to in the notes accompanying this published webinar. You'll be able to access that at that time also, just to give one more look at how to use Excel as a note-taking system. So I encourage you to perhaps use one of these systems, adjust it to fit your preferences and needs, but always make sure that you are collecting your master bibliography data as you go. You can always make contact with a Covenant librarian or someone at the Scribe Writing Center if you want to talk about your note-taking process and how well it's working for you. What should you do when you open a book? All of those sort of research questions, I encourage you to reach out. Otherwise, that concludes today. We haven't had any questions in our chat window, so if you do have any, please reach out at scribe@covenantseminary.edu. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you very much.